Hey guys, welcome to Third Eye Books. We're going to talk about a lot of interesting stuff, but before we begin, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out our next videos. Let's go. Imagine there's only one step between you and your biggest dream in life. What if I tell you that if you apply a couple of simple habits into your life, you will see yourself in that position? In this video, you will learn about a method that's helped over 20 million people to become highly effective and how you can do it yourself. The book that we're going to talk about is written by Stephen Covey, and it is considered to be between the top 25 most influential business books of all time. In this book, you will learn about 7 habits that can turn you from being stuck into an unstoppable beast. Before we begin, I'm pretty sure there's a question in your mind saying, it's too good to be true. Why don't people just do these habits and be on top of the world? Alright, let me break it down. There is one element in human behavior that defines most of its actions. Let's call it expectations. Now, I don't want to go into this rabbit hole of why these expectations are created. It has something to do with your parents cheering you up while you are taking your first steps. What we want to focus on is that there are 2 types of people in this world based on their level of expectations. There are people with higher level of expectations from themselves and from the world, and there are people with lower level of expectations. The second group of these people usually have a normal life. They just chill and enjoy the ride. They don't even bother to do crazy things. They have a simple life, to be honest. Now, the other group are people with higher level of expectation. In this group, we have 2 subgroups that we want to talk about. The first subgroup in this category are people with higher level of expectations who actually do something about that feeling. These people understand their expectations, they acknowledge the fact that they need to answer this feeling, they plan for it, they make sacrifices, and at the end they come to the conclusion that money is not the answer. Most of the successful people are in this category. Now, in the second subgroup, there are people with high level of expectation who don't do anything about that feeling. And unfortunately, in our modern world, most of the people are in this category. Now, let's go back a little bit. Remember what the original question was? We asked that, why don't people just use these habits and improve themselves and their lives? Here's your answer. There are 3 main reasons that people with high expectancy do not fulfill their urge to reach the goal. First is the fear of failing. We don't have time to discuss about the roots of this problem, so we're just going to know a little bit about how to fix them. The answer for the fear of failure is just 2 words: do it. Remember the first time that you tried to ride a bicycle? Most of us had our dads pushing the bicycle and forcing us to start pedaling and clear our heads from the fear of failure. That's it. The most effective and also the simplest way to overcome the fear of failure is just doing it. So, the second reason is overcomplicating. Now, the people who have this problem usually have a higher level of IQ, and that's why they want to tackle everything with the power of their brain. So, they are used to analyze everything, test different hypotheses, and double-check everything. Problem is that our brain hates complication and loves to break things down to better understand them and know how to react to them. So when you bombard your brain with too much information and try to just think about everything all at once, the first thing that happens is that your brain stops functioning properly and you feel stuck. There is another group who share the same feeling of being stuck, and they are the people who are constantly overstimulating their brain. There are endless hours of data that you need to observe to understand why overstimulation causes brain malfunction. But in simple words, when you overdose on dopamine with repetitive joys such as doom scrolling, junk eating, binge watching, and things like that, your brain loses its interest in other normal functions. In other words, your brain becomes a dopamine addict. It wants dopamine a lot and fast. Your brain is constantly looking for sources to receive big jumps of dopamine with as less effort as possible. Why? Because you have trained it to be like this. What else do you expect? Now, let's get into the main part of this video, the habits. The first habit that you need to start doing is called being proactive. What does it mean? Let me break it down. Do you know what the main difference between highly intelligent beings like humans and animals is? Apart from ability to speak, using tools, or being conscious, the number one feature of human behavior that sets it above other animals is the fact that humans do not just react to their environment, they choose what to do. Some may argue that, wait a minute, all animals choose what to do. For example, a crow even makes a plan to find a way to solve a puzzle and receive the reward prepared for it. Even some chimpanzees or other animals choose to use tools. What about that? When we say choosing what to do, we are talking about a decision that is out of the control of that being's environment and its own body. For instance, when a marathon runner is near the finish line, every single bone in his body is screaming of pain. His lungs are burning and he can barely breathe. Nothing in the environment is forcing him to do that. Like no tiger or hunter is chasing him, or he's not chasing a prey. Why is he doing that? Because he wants to win. Because he has built something in his mind that his body does not need it, and the environment does not force him to get it. That is called conscious decision. That is the essence of being a human. Doing what you don't have to do. This habit is about awakening that ultimate power in your mind. So the next time you wanted to skip that leg day, remember that there's a reason that you're called a human, so act like it. The second habit that I want to talk about is called
Top 10, 9th place, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 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 1st. Yeah.
You know what's he doing? He's creating an image in his client's mind and showing him that if he does not give it his all, he will end up in the second position in the championship rivalry. When someone is trying to climb the Mount Everest, he knows where his destination is. But in every step, his eyes are locked at where he is putting his foot on. Picturing the destination in your mind is like a fuel for it and gives you the confidence to continue. However, as I mentioned in the previous example, you should not be too focused on the goal, and comparing yourself every day with where you want to be in the future only drains your power and will make you tired soon. The third habit is about putting first things first. There are countless stories about people who missed their baby's birthday or their closest friend's wedding day because they had some important job to do. There was a study back in the 90s that showed most of the wealthiest people of that era had some sort of martial arts or military background. Do you know why? Because discipline makes you have priorities. Priorities makes you do what you need to do and not to let other things distract you. So if you want to be rich, get lean, or learn a new skill, first learn how to be disciplined and then set some clear priorities for yourself. This is what putting first things first means. Habit number 4, think win-win. When you're training for a competition or you're training to lose weight, you might think that if I don't win, the world will collapse and I will lose everything. Some people think that this mindset actually makes you work harder, but that's not true. The problem with this way of thinking is that the fear of failure through the journey is an unnecessary burden on your neck, and more importantly, if you don't win, you have a lot to deal with, and that's going to cost you a lot of time and energy. The better approach is to create a scenario that if you win or not, you will have a lot to be happy and thankful. When you have been practicing for a race and you end up in the second place, instead of blaming yourself, you can be happy that you won a medal. You have trained your body to reach a level that is unimaginable for a lot of people. This way of thinking calms you down through the process and saves you a lot of energy. We're going to call the habit number 5, do not shout, listen first.
This one is actually one of the oldest rules of salvation. There is an old poem from Saadi, one of the greatest poets of Persia, basically says, oysters open their shell only when they have a precious and beautiful pearl inside them. Imagine a room full of people and they are taking turns to talk about a specific issue. All of them are extremely excited to let others know about their opinion and race each other to talk first. There's only one guy between them that seems quiet and never asks to share his words. Now, all of a sudden, he stands up and with a confident tone starts to let them know about his point of view. Whose words are they going to be more interested in? The guy who shouts and begs them to listen, or the quiet guy that listens patiently to what they are saying, prepare his sentences perfectly, even learn from others and optimize his opinion a little bit, and then waits until everybody stops talking, and at the right moment starts to talk, and all of the people in the room have no choice but to pay attention to him. This is what it's all about. Habit number 6, Synergize. We all know that we humans are social in nature. We work together, eat together, live together, and there's a strong logic behind it. There was a video I once saw, and in that video the guy was holding a jar full of Skittles and he claimed that there was a specific number of Skittles in that jar. I don't know the number, let's say 1546. Now, he started walking in the streets with the jar in his hand and asked a couple of random people that how many Skittles are in that jar. There was all sort of answers to that question. Some of them were way out of the curve and said numbers like 100 to 10,000. However, some of them were pretty close to the correct number. Interestingly, there were 2 or 3 people who said a mind-blowing number like 1542 or 1560, something very close to the correct answer. Anyway, at the end, the guy started to sum up all of the answers and divide it to the number of people who were asked on the street. You wouldn't believe the number that he got. The number was only 2 more or less from the actual number of Skittles. That is called collective intelligence. If you want to build something big, you need to learn how to use your people's strong points, because that is the key to achieve unimaginable results. The greatest element in the behavior of some of the most influential people in history, people like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, is the fact that they know how to use what they have. In other words, they know how to unlock the hidden potential of their employees. Habit number 7. Sharpen the saw. Do not confuse this habit with having fun. No, this habit is about relieving the stress of being sharp and focused all the time. Now, for some people, this relief comes from reading a book, or climbing a mountain, or swimming, or meditation. It's different for each person. The question is why we need to do this. Remember the overstimulation part that I talked about? There is another form of overstimulation that is called neural fatigue. What happens is that we deliberately or unintentionally keep our nervous system in a highly alert state. This causes our synapses to work all the time and get kind of overworked and tired. There is a condition in people with high cortisol that causes them to be in a constant stress, and their body thinks that this stressful situation is the normal state because it's happening all the time. The problem with these people is that their CNS ages way faster than other people, and that's the last thing you want to do to your body. So if you want to achieve your goals and do great things, you need your body and your brain in the best shape. That's why occasional sessions of stress relief is necessary.